Hey everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot. And today we are talking about how important it is to be respectful in nature when you are out there practicing your craft in her.
I know,
oh my
he scared
fucking
me
God,
too.
that goddamn cat. Oh.
Even if nature's not respectful to us every time.
He's kind of a jackass, but...
But it is important,
God,
especially if
cinematic.
you're going to be in a... Well, I mean, it's always important, whether it's a private setting or a public setting.
Right, because the earth is, like... We're talking about, like, taking care of the earth while you're practicing your craft. Like, you know, you see things that say, like, don't put salt in the earth when you're doing a spell outside. And that's an important start. But there's also, like, don't leave your twist ties on the ground when you're out there getting your herbs open. Like, keep track of your trash when you're out there in nature.
I think that... So this is important to me because this really...
Yeah, there's a whole lot. Like, we're
Sorry
just
to
going to
go
be
on
talking
that
about
thing.
one thing at a time.
Right.
Like, you know, like, there's going to be a lot of little things that maybe you haven't thought about, but we have because we've seen a lot.
People who want to do things like cast a hex, let's use that as an example. So they want to put their sour jar in the river. Okay, well, let's not throw glass in the river. It doesn't matter if it's a sour jar.
It's illegal.
It's illegal.
And you know what? I am all for breaking laws. Like,
right.
Absolutely.
But there are biodegradable
There are stupid
options.
laws out there. But when you put glass in the river that's going to break, you are putting the wildlife and the other humans that use that river in danger. Because bears and foxes and raccoons, they all walk through these waters in the places that's shallow enough to walk.
Yeah.
Which is also the place that's more likely that your jar will break on the rocks and become a part of that beach area where little things walk and will get their paws broken. Little humans walk and will get their feet cut. Big humans walk and will have to go get tetanus shots and shit.
Exactly.
Like, seriously, it's an actual danger. And Maddie brings up an amazing point because not just is the glass a danger, that metal lid that's going to erode in the river, that's a danger too because think of all the chemicals. Now, what's inside your sour jar?
That's
what
a
do you
thing
have
too.
inside?
Now, I'm not trying to give examples because I'm not one to personally use baneful magic, but there are options that are biodegradable. You know what's biodegradable? A pepper. Just put somebody's name in a fucking pepper and throw it in the river, or throw it, or bury it because that's biodegradable.
Write it on a stick.
Exactly. Write it on a stick and burn it. But like, there are so many people, and I specifically use sour jars as an example because I notice a lot of people throwing them in the river or leaving them in cemeteries next to graves that they may or may not even know who they are. You know what I mean? You can't be leaving your trash. Or I shouldn't say trash, your remnants of your spell.
But also, like, there are ways of, like, I talked about it, we were talking about, I think, our winter magic episode or something like that, storm magic, but, like, if you want to, let's say, sour jar, instead of sour jar, put the name in some ice, float it away from you.
Right.
That's not damaging to anything.
No, and paper is biodegradable.
Exactly, or you could write the name on a blade of grass or a leaf, and so, like, again, it's biodegradable and it's natural. It's going to fall in the river on it, you know, anyway, right? So you're not, because here's the other thing, right? Like, paper is biodegradable, but it's also got chemicals in it.
That's true.
The ink has chemicals in it. You're putting it into a river where it's breaking down to its base elements, and fish breathe what it's breaking down into and as. People go swimming in this stuff. So, like, when we say practice respectfully in nature, like, we're talking about the whole, like, you got to think about everything that this encompasses, right? Because, again, let's take it back to the jar and the glass. It's actually illegal to have glass with you on the river. Like, it's illegal, and it's for safety reasons. And whether it's human or animal safety, if you're a practicing pagan or a practicing witch, not to make my beliefs be your beliefs, but goddamn, I would hope you think about the animals.
Right, the animals and the earth.
And the earth, yeah.
And I don't understand people who get into the mindset of, well, my revenge or my spell, whether it's a baneful spell or not, is more important, because it's not.
No, it's not.
No.
Like, actually, where do you think the energy that you're trying to harness is coming from? What the fuck, y'all? If you truly believe that you're right to do whatever working it is, outweighs the rights of the environment that you're practicing within. I don't even know how to finish that fucking sentence, honestly, because like that makes no sense to me.
No,
because
it doesn't, but I've
you're
seen
harnessing the energies all around you. Like when we are practicing, like let's say you're trying to harness, like let's go far out. Let's go way far out. Let's say you're trying to harness the energy of the deity that you work with. You are reaching out to energies that you expect to be attached to this earth. That's why they would bother fucking coming and dealing with your ass anyway. So why would you be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form to this place that we all have to call home?
I have no idea. And, you know, I mention this because there's a couple...
This entire episode is going to be a soapbox.
I guess it... Well, I follow a bunch of... Or I used to follow a bunch of witchy pages on Facebook. And they would constantly talk about how, oh, I did this sour jar. Or I did this jar. And I'm going to go leave it in the woods. And it's like, you're not really thinking about the environment when... Well, and that's just like when you act... I don't know. It just really bothers me because it's like, how are you going to leave that in the woods? There is one that's like, you take a piece of meat and you leave it out in the woods and you write the person's name in it or whatever, and then it's like an animal eats it, or it's like it rots or whatever, and it's like, okay, you know what, I can deal with that, but leaving the jars, or leave, you know what I mean? There's so many biodegradable options, and I hate to just talk about baneful magic because we're gonna get to the other magic in a minute, but
and I mean, whether it's baneful, you could have a love spell in a jar, right? You might leave it by this tree that you guys carved your initials into, or
which don't do that either.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you might carve your initials into a tree. You might set a tree on fire for your purposes of magic. No, don't do that. You know the tree's alive, right? Like, the tree is actually factually motherfucking alive, and not only is it actually factually motherfucking alive, but the part that you're burning, that's not the brain of the tree. The brain of the tree is under your feet, and it's connected to all the other fucking plants under your feet. So when you're burning that tree and you're carving your initials into that tree and you're dumping salt into the middle of that living fucking tree, you're actually hurting the entire environment that you are in, that you are trying to harness the energy of. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. And it's like Amber and I went to a park and they had carved like ruins into a tree. Why? Just why?
Why do you need carve the runes into the fucking dirt? Like, runes, dirt. Yeah, maybe it'll get washed away,
but it's
going to be into the ground. Exactly. Yeah, like it's going to get seeped into the ground by being washed away. It can still be permanent in your magic if you can understand and believe that. But when you believe that you have to harm a living thing, because whether you like it or not, trees are living things, when you have to harm that for your practice, you should probably question things. Like,
I agree.
I'm sorry, but
no, I totally agree. And you know, you mentioned the salt thing. So, on the topic of not necessarily super baneful magic, but protection magic, you know, a lot of people make protection powder, and it's just very heavily salt based. You know, if you just take all that powder and dump it in one area, that's not good, you know?
Well, and not just that, but like if it's salt at all, like there's a very, like this earth has a fucking balance.
A pH balance,
yes. Don't pour salt out there. You want to make, if you want to use put protection powder outside in the ground, then make it from eggs and or herbs.
And ash. Ash is great.
But don't be putting salt out there and be like, oh, it's okay. Like, okay. And when we say don't be putting salt, like, I might throw a handful of salt over my shoulder, and if I'm outside, I might still do it, right? Because I'm one of those people who's like, spilled salt's bad luck, you throw it over your shoulder, right? That's not the same as pouring a mixture around the entire perimeter of your home that has salt in the whole thing.
Right.
These are very different
actions. Well, and if anything, is
like,
that going to kill some things, like a ring around your house? That's, like, not...
I mean, I would, yeah, like, but I know people that tell you, like, put black salt or put salt around your house, and it's like, use eggshells. That is protection. Crush up eggshells, make protection powder. You are fertilizing your earth and protecting your home and connecting to the mother all in one fell fucking swoop.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. You're doing something good for the earth. You're doing something good for yourself. That's cool. But when you're trying to do something good for yourself and saying fuck you to the earth as a part of that process, how good can that be for you?
Well, and I think people get this this ego that I'm a witch. I rule this place. I'm a witch. I rule this place, and that's where people need to like take it down, because your magic and your intentions are not more important than the earth. Whether or not you want to pretend, and that's what it is, you're pretending that it is to feel big and bad. It's not.
This is a curse of individualism, because with individualism and our individual needs outweighing everything else, our individual desires outweigh the betterment of everything, right? Because we're saying fuck you to the animals that live in this environment. We're saying fuck you to the natural elements in this environment. We're saying fuck you to everything other than me and my wants and my desires. And that is a plague of individualism. And, you know...
Excuse me, I'm sorry, everyone.
You're good. Like, we moved away from the communal mind, and that doesn't mean it was a good thing, right? And I'm not saying we have to have a communal mind again, although, you know, my beliefs are what they are. So, I can't say that I don't believe that based on everything I'm reading. But the bottom line is, when you put your individual desires above what is best for the earth on which we live, you're missing the bottom line points of the pagan lifestyle. Now, can you practice witchcraft and not be pagan? Yes. Am I starting to think that you shouldn't practice witchcraft if you're not pagan? Also, yes. Because the ideals of paganism, of taking care of our earth, are what help to put the beneficial piece into magic, as opposed to the selfish individual's mindset of, I'm in control. I'm in control of this natural thing. I'm going to take this animal and breed them together and make this new animal that I'm going to control. And when it doesn't act the way I want it to act, I'm going to unalive it because I'm in control. I'm playing God. I'm going to give DNA to a robot and give it artificial intelligence and create a new species. We did that, apparently.
A robot?
Like, we combined, like, DNA and, like, robotic something, and it's like reproducing.
Wow, that's weird.
It's evolving faster than the scientists imagined. We also, which this goes in line with our conspiracy theory, and I have much more to look into for it, but we had scientists create an electromagnetic field that is 400 times more powerful than the Earth's electromagnetic field.
Why? That's stupid.
So that they could create a star inside of this electromagnetic field. So they have a star. What happens to all of us if that star collapses, y'all? What happens? What happens to humanity?
I have no idea.
When the Earth implodes, because these guys were like, oh, we can make a star. And they decided that they should just because they could. And
that's the same
goes
mentality.
Back to
yes.
this, exactly.
It's the same mentality. And then some people do it unintentionally and don't even realize. Like with the salt thing, some people aren't aware, but it's very
that's where
important to
educating
educate
yourself comes in.
Yes, it's very important to
don't go out
educate
there
yourself.
willy-nilly.
And this is not just public spaces. Me and Amber have been to a public space where someone had carved ruins into the tree and they had burnt herbs and something into a bridge that had been washed away when you were out there. But the point is like defiling the energy of a park and just the earth in general and a public space is bad and horrible. But don't do it in your own backyard because it's your own backyard. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like some people are like, oh, it's in my backyard.
But that's still the earth. Like, the ground, like, when it rains, whatever you have out on your earth is going to seep into the ground. It's going to seep into the groundwater.
Well, it's important to respect your backyard and your yard in general because this is the energy that surrounds your home.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like, and I say that because we should do it anyway and not be selfish.
Yeah.
But if we're going to look at it through a selfish perspective, you're fucking yourself. You know what I mean? You're screwing yourself by messing up the yard and the pH balance of your soil.
You are.
And the energy of your home because this is what your home is settled on. You know?
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's like, here's the thing that I was thinking about earlier. Actually, I like made a note on my phone so I could like make a video or some shit about it because it was an epiphany that I had. And it kind of goes in line with what you were saying about like not just deciding I'm going to practice how I want to because my decision to do this working is more important than what's best for the earth, right? And it's like we do this thing with animals and deities and the planet where we decide that we see it in this way and that's the only way that it matters. And when we're doing that, we're feeding that negative aspect of the energy, and through the act of manifestation through intentions, because intention is 7/10 of the law. That's a lot of the law, right? It's over half. So we're not even realizing that we're feeding this energy in this way. But when we are feeding the earth with baneful magic, and then we're seeing all these horrible things happen, and we're going, well, why did that happen? Why did that tragedy happen? Why does all this fucked up ass shit happen in America? Why is it happening more often?
Why is it happening in this one specific place all the time? Because it does. You know what I mean? Things happen. Like, certain places... I am so sorry, I have no idea where this cough came from, but certain places hold specific energy and negative things happen in those places all the time. Why? I mean, there is something behind a witch cast a hex here and now it's cursed. A witch harnessed negative energy and put negative energy out into the specific place of the earth, and now the earth is having trouble getting rid of that energy or moving past that energy because it was tainted by a selfish person. Exactly.
And like let's talk about the residuals, right? Because that's basically what we're talking about. So like, not only is the earth tainted, the living things that move through that force are tainted.
Well, and
maybe they pick up that negativity and they give it life for a brief time, and they do awful things, and we sit back and we go, oh, that was terrible, I wonder why that awful thing happened. And it's because the individuals who are coming to this new age of spirituality, in this new age of practicing witchcraft, and they're doing it from, I ain't telling you how to practice your magic. If you want to do it from a selfish perspective, that's cool. But they're practicing magic for the betterment of themselves. And they are trying to monetize it and make money off of doing spells. And that energy in and of itself is feeding this negative energy that's seeping into the world. Like, if you look at it like veins, right? Like, you can see veins turn black in the zombie movies as the body is contaminated with the zombie virus. Think of the earth in the same way. As you're doing these workings for your own personal gain, you're doing these workings to hurt others. Well, you're pumping poison into the energetic field around you and in the environment that you're working in.
And I want to be clear as well, just so we're aware, or at least in my opinion, am I talking... Do I support the use of baneful magic? Personally, no. Do I practice baneful magic? Personally, no. However, if you choose to, because we all have free will, there are plenty of options where it is biodegradable and it doesn't harm the earth. So I don't want you to think that Amber and I are here like...
Because I'm talking, like honestly, I was talking about prosperity magic just as much as baneful magic.
Exactly. Like, I'm being super judgmental, like the power, or like the threefold law, because that's not what we're trying to come
like, I'm not trying to put my beliefs on you, you know, but you got to think about the energy that you're feeding into when you do it in these ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, is this for your vacation?
Maddie. Yes.
Okay. But no, really, because I think you and I are of the same mind. We have our own opinions, and we're not trying to... Well, that's the whole point of this podcast.
Well, this episode, right? Yeah. Yes.
We're not trying to tell you what to do and what not to do magically, but physically, don't
we want you to take it. Yeah, we want you to take care of the earth, because, like, you know, people be going out and practicing magic and making a mess, like... Clean up after yourself.
Literally, I went to a camp, like my family went camping when we were younger, and the campsite we had was littered with golden, they were almost like pins. There were nailed pins.
Oh, like the little brass tacks kind of things?
Brass tacks, and they were stars, and they were moons, and the people beside us were like, yeah, they were really weird. They said they were witches, and they were throwing that out as offering. And
as
an adult, I'm like, and a practicing witch, I'm like, these motherfuckers don't give a shit, do they?
They don't.
And one of those fuckers stuck into my fucking shoe. That you're doing this at a campground of
where people walk around barefoot. Right? I walk around barefoot at camp if I can.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's so hard. Like, most of the time, if we aren't out on the river where, you know, there's not a soul around but the bears and the raccoons for miles, like, unless we're out there, it's dangerous to walk around barefoot, because you're gonna get somebody's fucking broken beer bottle or disgusting ass, like, people just be nasty at camp. Yeah. It makes me sick. I don't even, you know what I do? I do even. Let's talk about it. So, fuck just being out there practicing your magic. When you're out in nature, doing anything in nature, fuck magicians for a minute. Fuck witchcraft for a minute. Let's just talk about being a human who is leaving your little suburban world or your concrete jungle and going out to go be in the woods. For one, why the fuck you blaring your 80s
Are you really
glam
roughing
rock?
it? Like,
right? Like, you know what? I don't even care about you really roughing it or not. Like, but why are you blaring your boombox with your stupid fucking music? Even if I like that music, how can I hear the birds? How can I
What's the
see
point?
a fucking deer walk through my campsite when you are blaring fucking Rat and White Snake and fucking shit like this across the fucking river and across the fucking woods? Like, why are you going out in the woods? Stay home. Stay in your goddamn apartment in your fucking house and blare your music and get drunk and let your kids run around your yard or your house. Stop coming out to the woods and ruining the environment with noise pollution and your bullshit trash. Because the same people that come out and blare their goddamn boom boxes are the same ones that are breaking beer bottles and leaving half their cooler to fucking just be a mess.
Well, and I went camping.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I went camping. I'm like, wow, memory unlocked. That same time that I went camping, because we didn't go camping often, there was a loud bullfrog or some sort of frog. And it wasn't keeping, and nobody could sleep, so these guys went hunting for it. Did they find it? No, thank God. But how the fuck are you going to go out in nature and go hunting and be like, this bullfrog won't shut the fuck up? Well, let's go hunting in that. They didn't find him. Yeah. But why would you have that mentality?
Yeah, why are you in nature? Yeah.
What is the point?
What is the point if you're not out there to enjoy it? I just don't understand. And I'm not saying you can't listen to music. I'll put music on sometimes on my phone, we even, for rainy nights when we can't enjoy, we have movies downloaded to the phone.
Yeah.
And it's I'm not saying you can't enjoy your technology, but why are you out there blaring it? Mm-hmm. Why are you out there ruining it for everybody, including the animals that live out there? Yep. Because that is their actual home. They actually live there, guys. I don't know if you were aware.
It's like people have this lack of empathy, where it's like they don't think about the animals or the earth or anyone else but themselves.
Well, exactly, because they don't think about the next person that's going to come to that campsite and have to avoid their broken glass.
Right.
Unless they do, and they're doing it on purpose to make it a bad experience for you, in which case, why is that a piece of human nature? We really, there is a little piece of human nature where it's haha, fuck that guy. You know what I mean?
But not at the extent of the fucking earth. Fuck that.
Yeah, no, I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just questioning it. Why is that a thing? Because, I don't understand going out into the woods to party and trash the place. Because, again, this isn't about practicing magic. This is just about being in the woods at this point. And it's a couple weeks ago, I went out with my daughter and some other people from the community where I live. And we were cleaning up some trails in the area. And the reason that we were doing so is the local residents were complaining that the unhomed people or the unhoused people that were living in the woods in these areas had trashed it, and they were making it a mess, and they were making it a crappy place to live, and they're so disgusting, and they need to be we need the city to boot them out. So this church was we're gonna go clean up because we want the people that live in the neighborhood to leave the people that are living in the woods alone, essentially, right? And to proselytize to them, but that's a different story.
Right.
Because that was one of the things was if you come upon them, just tell them about the word of God. Bitch, please.
Right.
Anyway,
I just want to clean the earth.
Right, exactly. And let's be clear. Where the unhoused people were living, because not unhomed, that was their home. They were very clean. The area around them was very clean. They were taking care of their homes because they're not fucking giant assholes. They're just living life and trying to survive. But there were a lot of things to be cleaned up from assholes who decided they wanted to go get drunk in the woods and smash their fucking beer bottles and light trees on fire. Which, that's dangerous.
Also, just why the fuck would you do that?
Yeah, I don't get why the fuck you would do that, but also, why the fuck would you do that? Because you light a tree on fire. What if it spreads to other trees?
Right? What the fuck? It's
there are neighborhoods around there.
Well, and I guess that brings us back to practicing your crafts carefully and respectfully outside. If you're going to have a fire, make sure it's in an area that you can have a fire. Make sure it's contained, and you're not lighting a fucking tree on fire and just to be an asshole.
Well, because you have to remember, if you're outside, whether you're practicing your craft or not, nature's gonna nature.
Yep.
So when you're leaving these glass bottles out here, you're leaving these cans out here, you're leaving this bag of herbs because it's part of your spell. Grass is going to grow up around it. Vines are going to grow around these things and through these things. Trees are going to grow and they're going to have them embedded in their trunks. And it's disgusting because you got to be, like, just being in nature, you should be respectful. And I'm sorry,
No, I think, should we end it on that?
Well, I mean, I think talking more about, like, what you mean by, like, having a fire in a safe area. I think a lot of people don't think about those things because they don't think about the fact that, like, you can't have a fire when it's windy outside.
No, you can't have a fire when it's windy, and it does need to be in a contained area because if it's not, fire spreads.
Right, because, like, think about
and make sure
if you
you
ever
put
watch
out.
it, there are sparks that come up.
Exactly.
Those sparks can start fires in dry areas, whether you intend it to happen or not.
Right. And also, if you're doing this in an area, well, I mean, you should always, I guess, do it. Make sure that you fully put the fire out.
And make sure it's, like, how do I say this? There are some parks you can't start a fire in.
Yeah,
Make
make sure it's legal when you're starting a fire as well. And make sure
it's safe because, like, if you think about it, like, from the standpoint, I can't remember. I know recently we recorded where we were talking about, like, the under leaves and stuff. Maybe it was the last episode of this one. But there are creatures that live in the underbrush and stuff. So if you're lighting something on fire that's near something, you don't know that there's a colony living under there. There could be a colony of
there could be
rodents or rabbits or, like, all sorts of creatures, whether they're bugs or mammals or birds. They could be living in these areas and you think it's safe to have a fire, but it's not. And the people that control it, like the park rangers, you know, or whomever that would be, they know, and that's why the signs are out that you can't have fires here. Well, so you gotta follow the rules.
And on that note, if you're gonna use candles outside, again, be very careful. You could easily start a fire, and make sure you bring your candle bag. Yeah. Don't just leave it there.
Yes. And, you know, Maddie said, make sure you put your fire out.
Yes.
That is not just pouring the last of your bottle of water on it. You have, when you're out in nature, a single spark can cause an entire forest fire. You have to douse it. You have to cover it in sand until there are no coals. You have to knock the coals around and make sure, like, you can't just be like, oh, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Because that wind kicks up just the littlest bit. And you could see an entire community gone.
It happens in fucking California all the time.
It happened at Pigeon Forge in Tennessee. Like,
well, and
where
really
I had
dry
my honeymoon.
areas. Yeah, like, so just be careful, be wise, and respectful.
And be respectful. And I think that's a good place to stop.
So
thank you so much for listening to this episode and hopefully getting a little mad with us. Hopefully you're not one of the actual people who needs this message. So make sure that you tell your friends about Witches Talking Tarot and other things so that more people can get the message that maybe need to.
Yes, and if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe.
And thank you so much to our supporters on our Patreon, Death by DVD,
Melissa,
Victoria,
and Pam.
We appreciate you. And if you would like a spiffy little shout out like they got, you can be our supporter as well on patreon.com/Witches Talking Tarot.
And you can find us on Threads, Facebook, and Instagram at Witches Talking Tarot.
And you can find us on the X as Classiest Witches because we are the classiest witches you know. So thanks for coming to sit with us as well.